So it's the end of another championship weekend. A lot of things to talk about. Let's get into this. What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Before we dive into anything though, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed and shared this channel. We've had a big push towards 500 subscribers very recently. I don't know what you guys did, but let's try to do the same thing with this video today. We need to keep up that same momentum. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for the support you've given me recently. And if you got a correct score in this weekend's games, your comment will be on the screen right now. Very unpredictable weekend of championship football. We had a lot of goals going in. I got one correct score, which was the Derby and Norwich game, which ended 1-0 to the leaders. And this is what the Lexus Hall of Fame looks like now in terms of the Premier Division. I'm still on top, but it's very tight in and around that region of the table. It's a 3-horse race at the moment. In terms of the championship division, there's been a little bit of movement in that division, but not too much of it. If any of you guys do want to try and get more points into the Lexus Hall of Fame, make sure in the end of the video you comment the 4 championship games we have in midweek and the Premier League games that will be taking place today as well. But without any further ado, let's go on and talk about this weekend's games. So to start this off, we see Watford take one huge step closer to the Premier League. Reading will be very annoyed with themselves with the amount of missed chances that they made. If you notice with the stats with Watford, they were intensely clinical, especially Ismail Assar with 2 quick-fire goals. For his second goal especially, the quality to pull that out of the locker. He's clearly, for me, in terms of a quality, a player way too good for the championship. But his quality on his own was enough to limp Watford over the line. And when Watford were 2-0 up, they were happy to sit back and allow Reading to try and break them down. And a couple of times, Reading did break them down. Elise did fantastically well in around the half-hour mark, just dribbling past 3 or 4 players. He did all the hard work, giving it to Mate, and then Mate squared it to Puskas. All he needed to do was hit it on target, but it shot comes off the post. It was honestly agonising because it would have been such a great team goal. What Watford did well is that they did try and restrict Reading as much as they can. Defensively, they looked really solid, and whilst Reading did have chances, Blackburn didn't need to make too many big saves. Reading would be very frustrated with this defeat. Of course, this defeat now gets them outside of the top 6 now. Of course, they're 2 points behind Bournemouth, and also Bournemouth have got a game in hand with them as well, which could be a double blow for Reading going to this weekend. As with Watford, they're now 9 points ahead of Brentford. Very crucial for Watford, especially for the fact they've got a very tough run in near the end of the season. I think this win could be proven very critical for their promotion campaign. And then we see Swansea returning to winning ways, finally with a 3-0 victory over Millwall. And it was a very comfortable performance by Swansea in the end. Yes, Millwall did have chances, and Millwall probably should have scored at least 1 goal. Jake Cooper's headed shot, I had no idea how that didn't go in. It literally just came off the post, and almost the Swansea players were in panic, and they were thinking that they were going to have to try and work even harder to get the game to their way. From the last couple of 4 or 5 games, we were thinking, what's happened to the Swansea side? They look tired, ragged, defeated, lacking desire. But this game really proved everything wrong. It was a huge performance by Swansea, and it was especially needed for the fact if Swansea didn't win this game, it would have opened the door for Norwich to get automatically promoted. Jamal Lowe, who's had a huge goal drought recently, he's managed to score 2 great goals, the third goal being a fantastic team goal. Millwall were a little bit poor for me. I think they actually underestimated Swansea a little bit and almost thought that they didn't need to work too hard to try and get a result. But Swansea really stepped up, to be fair to them. Right now, they're in 4th place, and they need to try and keep up this consistency if they want to still have a slim chance of getting promotion. As with Millwall, I think they're now going to be on the beach. I don't see them entering the top 6. I think they're going to be in a mid-table position. And then we see Bournemouth put Coventry under intense pressure with a 4-1 home victory. And this win's big for Bournemouth. They're now back in the top 6 with a game in hand over Reading as well. And they immediately scored 20 seconds in, Danjuma with the goal. Coventry, to be fair to them, they did equalise very quickly. It was a fantastic free kick taken by Matty James. I was thinking we might have an interesting game over here. But it was ultimately Danjuma's game to lose. He was absolutely terrific to get 2 goals and an assist as well. He ran riot against this Coventry defence. They simply couldn't handle him. Solanke got the final goal in the 92nd minute of the game. It was fantastic work actually by Ben Pearson, who I think was searching for his first goal for Bournemouth, but unfortunately Solanke was in the way of his shot and the ball actually managed to deflect off Solanke, so it will count as Solanke's goal, and that made it 4-1. Following this defeat for Coventry now, they're now slipping. They're now 21st place, and they're probably now the prime target for the 3 relegated clubs to catch now. Coventry just have a really big problem away from home. They just were second best to every single play, and Bournemouth completely outclassed them. They were not playing like a championship team, and Bournemouth are definitely playing with nothing to lose now. I think they know deep down they won't get automatically promoted, but at least they'll have a slim possibility of getting promoted by qualifying in the top 6. Then we see Barnsley strengthen their chances to get a top 6 place with a very comfortable 2-0 victory over Middlesbrough. With this defeat now for Middlesbrough, I think it's curtains for top 6 in my honest opinion now. Likewise with Millwall, they've got to try and finish as high as they can in the table. But Barnsley, this was a performance that I don't think they were completely at their best. I think Middlesbrough, to be fair, actually competed quite well. They had the first notable chance as well, where Civic had a really poor defensive header, but Saville couldn't capitalise. If he did capitalise, then Middlesbrough could have had a dream start, and Barnsley would have had to work hard to try and get back into this. The opening goal came through in the second half, and it was from an Alex Morat corner. Yes, he scored directly from the corner flag, and Bettinelli missed the ball. It was a goalkeeping howler, and he'll be so disappointed for how he managed to let that go in. And then Daryl Dike got the second. They tried to clear it, but then it's won back by Callum Britton, who loops a wicked cross to meet the head of Daryl Dike to make it 2-0 to Barnsley. Following this win for Barnsley, they're now 5th place on 71 points. As with Middlesbrough, I don't think they were awful. I just don't think they're quite good enough, in my honest opinion, to compete in around the teams in the top 6, so they're going to have to try and go again for next season. 3 home wins in a row under Lee Bowyer, with a 2-0 victory over Stoke, who were most definitely on the beach for this game. But what this win does for Birmingham is unbelievable, really. Look at this. They're now 18th place in the table. They're now on 45 points, 9 points ahead of Rotherham as well. This is the first time Birmingham have had 3 consecutive clean sheets in over 3 years as well. So quite a few mad stats following around Birmingham at the moment, and it was 2 Lukas Jukovic goals. One of them a trademark Lukas Jukovic goal from a header. The second goal was very, very poor, really. McGree has a shot from 25 yards out. Adam Davies parries it straight to Jukovic, and he scores to make it 2-0. But to be fair, I thought Stoke were actually the better side before they fell behind. Brown did have a goal which was ruled out for offside, and it was as soon as Jukovic got that goal and Birmingham soaked the pressure to get the lead when it was needed just before half time, then I think it was all Birmingham really from that moment onwards. As with Stoke, it's not the end of the world. They're directly 12th place. I think where they finish is ultimately down to the desire of the Stoke players to see how much they want to finish. And it's been unfortunate. They've got 11 players injured as well, so Stoke are looking quite depleted. And then a snooze fest in Ashton Gate as Bristol City finally end their horrible home run. In their last 4 home games, Bristol City have only had 3 shots on target. And to put that in perspective, Forest had more shots on target from this game alone than what Bristol City had at home in over 270 minutes, which is absolutely madness. Both sides came close to scoring. Both sides did hit the woodwork. It was Alex Mighton that hit the woodwork for Nottingham Forest and Harry Nansbury from a free kick for Bristol City. But overall, if you look at those stats, I mean, it's pretty comprehensive for which team definitely had the better chances. It was Nottingham Forest. It was a disappointing performance, especially on Nottingham Forest's part, for how poor they were, especially in the final third in attack as well, and how wasteful they were with their opportunities. Bristol City, they'll be in a mid-table position. I don't think they'll be too nonplussed in terms of what their last couple of results bring them. As in Nottingham Forest, same here. I think Nottingham Forest are safe from the drop right now. Where both these teams finished, I'm going to reiterate, is down to the desire of the players and their performance levels in their last run of championship games. Then Cardiff's winning run stretches to 3 games as they are held by Blackburn, who I felt Blackburn were intensely robbed of 3 points. I mean, Blackburn hit the woodwork 3 times, and Blackburn are so frustrated right now. They are desperate to try and improve their form, but it's just not going their way at the moment. Will Vault scored the first goal for Cardiff. It was a clever free kick by Harry Wilson, who did a little back heel, and then Will Vault managed to shoot it under for Wall. That made it 1-0 to Cardiff. But Adam Armstrong responded very quickly afterwards, and it's a poor mistake by Dylan Phillips. And I fear for him now for the fact he conceded 5 last game and he made that howler. Right now, he's just going through a really difficult period and he needs to pick himself up as soon as he can. Otherwise, there'll be howler after howler, which will really affect his confidence. Cardiff managed to get their second goal, and it was Joe Rules with the second goal. It was fantastic play, actually, between himself and Harry Wilson, playing a delightful 1-2 to find Joe Rules to make it 2-1. But Adam Armstrong definitely rescues a very deserved point for Blackburn. What's really affected Cardiff's form for me is the goal drought from Kiefer Moore. He's not scored in over a month now. Right now, they're 9 points off Bournemouth, who occupy the last top 6 place, and have played a game more as well. Cardiff will have to be near perfect if they will need to get into the top 6 now. As with Blackburn, 1 win in 16 is not great, but Blackburn have been so unlucky. They just need one big performance, then I think Blackburn can end the season strong. Then we see Norwich within touching distance of promotion, 2 points to be exact, with a 1-0 victory over Derby, and it was as close as it was suggested. It was a game of two halves. Norwich, I felt, really got the first half. It was Kieran Dowell who was very, very threatening. His free kick went just wide, but the second time he took it, it was a stunning goal to make it 1-0 to Norwich. Carnwell had an opportunity, Pukki had chances as well, and Marshall had to be kept quite alert in that first half, but in the second half, Derby had a lot of purpose and they really wanted to get something in the game. One player who really impressed me actually for Derby was Patrick Roberts. The confidence he had and just the skills he had as well, just all the things he was trying. You know, I was liking everything I was seeing from Patrick Roberts. He was really determined to try and get Derby something from this game. But unfortunately, Tim Krul was fantastic in Norwich's goal. Although Norwich do nearly throw it away in the final couple of minutes when Tim Krul got out of his goal and he got nicked off the ball. Graham Shinney has an open goal in front of him and he literally misses the target. Derby definitely for me need at least 2 wins just to try and give them a bit of stability for survival. Norwich, of course, they only need 1 more win and it's promotion back to the Premier League. And you have to say they've deserved it. I felt all season with just the ridiculous squad depth that they have and the quality they've got in all areas of the pitch, Norwich deserve to be in the Premier League. Then the Yorkshire Derby produces a very disappointing display with a 0-0 draw. But Rotherham will make the short trip home thinking, how on earth did they not get anything from that game? Because some of the misses they made were criminal. Matt Crooks especially, for the fact he literally just had a tap in. His tap in goes against the left post. One player who really impressed me for Rotherham was Lewis Wing. He was making a lot of things happen. Ben Wiles as well was creating a lot of chances as well. It just wasn't Rotherham's day, and Sheffield was probably pulling off one of his better performances in Huddersfield's goal. Huddersfield's main chances came from corners and there was one shot from Keogh which Johansson had to make a pretty good save to try and keep out. It's a big week for Rotherham this week for the fact they've got to play 2 games this week. They've got to really start taking their chances now. They've not scored in their last 3 games. If they continue that streak of not being able to score a goal, then Rotherham would not survive. As for Huddersfield, following that 7-0 hammering, it's good for Huddersfield for the fact they've kept a clean sheet in this game. But if they're not careful and they don't start winning matches, they can get dragged back into it. 1 win in 17 games is quite a worrying run of form for Huddersfield at this stage of the season. And then we see Brentford demolish Preston and respond in a big way, and are definitely not giving up promotion that quickly with a 5-0 thrashing. It was really poor on Preston's part for how they conceded, especially the first 2 goals, because they were almost identical passages of play from Brentford, really. Their first 2 goals honestly came from Mats Rosalov crosses, and they were met by Brian Mbumo and Force, respectively, to make it 2-0 to Brentford. And from then onwards, I don't think Preston really had the gusto and the determination to get back into this. They've just felt a bit defeated. They rolled over a little bit, and it was a bit disappointing for me from in the final 15 minutes how Brentford literally ripped Preston apart. They couldn't compete at all. Ivan Toney got his 29th goal of the season. Great cross by Tariq Fosu. Sergi Canos managed to make it goal number 4, and even Emiliano Marcondes that came on as a substitute. Poor defending on Preston's part. He has a very easy shot past Iverson to make it 5-0 to Brentford. This doesn't only stop Norwich from winning promotion already, but it reignites a small chance that they can potentially try and get into those automatic promotion places. They still got to play against Watford, and if they do beat Watford and they do win their game in hand, the gap's only at 3 points. So maybe Brentford might have a small chance, but they've got to be near perfect near the end of the season for me. And then we see Sheffield Wednesday looking pretty defeated now, following they've lost 4-1 to Queen's Park Rangers. It was very poor defending actually for the first goal. It was Lyndon Dykes that managed to score the first one. It was a great cross by Barbe and Lyndon Dykes winning the header. But Sheffield Wednesday responded very, very quickly. It was a great passage of play by Barry Bannon to find Adam Reach, and Adam Reach with a perfect delivery to find Josh Windass. Brilliant touch and brilliant goal to make it 1-1. And I was thinking maybe Sheffield Wednesday could try and regain a bit of momentum and try and get something. The game definitely switched to Queen's Park Rangers' side, where Queen's Park Rangers got their second from a really poor mistake by Wildsmith. To be fair to him, it did come off a deflection which wrong-footed him, but the lack of power in the shot, you could feel that Wildsmith should have done better for that. That made it 2-1 to Queen's Park Rangers. And from then onwards, it was all QPR. They were really, really rampant, and Sheffield Wednesday, still without Darren Moore, who is still self-isolated. Lyndon Dykes got his second, another headed goal to make it 3-1. And then even Chris Willock managing to get a final goal. Queen's Park Rangers, for me, will not get into the top 6 with the position that they have right now. But if they regain that momentum near the end of the season, then maybe they can finish in a fantastic position. As for Sheffield Wednesday now, it's a very daunting task for me to try and get them to survive their 8 points of safety. And they only have 6 games left to play also. And another team who I think is nearly down and out is Wycombe, as they lose 3-1 to Luton. And it's a real blow for Wycombe Wanderers' part, as they did take the lead and they were the better side, I felt, in that first half. They won a penalty with Admiral Musgrave getting fouled by Cal Naismith in the box. Anis Mehmeti stepped up, a very powerful penalty to make it 1-0 to Wycombe. And it was still a tight contest. Nathan Jones wasn't prepared to give up though. He threw a couple of substitutes on to try and shake things up in the game, and they definitely proved effective, and Luton started to creep back into it. And the moment of the game which ultimately changed the momentum was when Jordan Knight got a straight red card. Bit unfortunate, but it was very rash, so it was a straight red card. And following that, Wycombe were down to 10 men. They did try and contain Luton for a good 20 minutes, but until the final 10 minutes, Luton went on a rampage. It was the substitute George Moncur who scored a free kick to make it 1-1. And then another substitute, Kazenga Lualua, who was picked out from a short corner and scored a stunning top right corner goal. It was an unbelievable effort. And then even Elijah Adebayo managed to make it 3-1 with a very powerful header. This defeat now for Wycombe is a huge blow. They've only got 5 games left now to save themselves, and they're 9 points off safety. As with Luton, their mid-table position is sealed now, 13th place. Brilliant performance, especially in the final 10 minutes. Here is what the championship table looks like. So Norwich and Watford in the top 2. Then you've got Brentford, Swansea, Barnsley, and now Bournemouth in the top 6. And then the same bottom 3, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, and Wycombe. Before I predict the 4 games in midweek, I'm going to go through my goal of the weekend, player of the weekend, and result of the weekend. So goal of the weekend first. I'm going to give my goal of the weekend to Kazenga Lualua. The result of the weekend, I think a lot of people will be assuming I picked Preston 0, Brentford 5. But I'm actually going to give it to Millwall 0, Swansea 3. As my result of the weekend. It's a very important victory for Swansea for the fact they were in 4 defeats in a row. There was a lot of pressure on this Swansea squad. I'm going to give my result of the weekend to Swansea. And finally, the player of the weekend. There's a couple of nominations, but I'm going to give my player of the weekend to Arnaud Danjuma. He was absolutely terrific for Bournemouth against Coventry. He ripped that back line from Coventry apart. They stood no chance dealing with his pace. I'm going to give my player of the weekend to Arnaud Danjuma. So now to end off the video, I'm going to predict the 4 midweek games. Start off with Huddersfield going up against Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth may be quite comfortable with this one. I'm going to say 2-0 to Bournemouth. Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea. I think Swansea may start going on a run now. I'm going to say 2-1 to Swansea, but it's very close. Rotherham and Queen's Park Rangers. I mean, if Rotherham were as poor as they were at home in this game, then it will be a comprehensive win for Queen's Park Rangers. I'm going to say 3-0 to Queen's Park Rangers. And then we've got to predict Rotherham again against Coventry. Near impossible this. I honestly have no idea. I'm going to say a 0-0 draw actually. I think this is going to be a very cagey game. But that wraps it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really, really make my day. And please share my channel to as many people as you can. As I said, we want to try and push to 500 subscribers before the end of the season. If that's not the case, then I will quit the platform. But you guys have been incredible. Let's try and keep this momentum going. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care everyone.